We're gonna make a break for it. It is a rainy day. Oh, here on the property. And I don't know if it's raining so hard, but I've got a gutter right here. And it is running, I don't know if it's overflowing the gutter. Maybe. I have to look at that too. Today is gonna be a day that we fix things in the pole barn since it's such a rainy day. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on Rebecca's lawnmower. You can see the tire is flat. And it's not a good flat either. It's a bad flat. It's got a puncture hole and it's actually in the side of the tire. So I'm gonna go ahead, I may air it back up, but I'm gonna get this tire off of here and start taking it apart. It's eroding the dirt away from my concrete. Luckily, I've got a pile of dirt over here I can fill this in. I can hear it right there. That's where it is. There we go. All right, we got her. So there's the hole in the tire. It looks a little jagged, not sure exactly what happened. But the bad thing is on a car tire, you would never patch the sidewall. Because on a car tire, you don't want a chance of that tire blowing out when you're driving down the highway. You would only patch the tread. I actually worked in a tire shop when I was a teenager. I've patched several tires when I was in high school. But this is just a lawnmower tire. So I'm actually gonna take this off and I'm gonna try to put a patch on the inside of the sidewall and get that to seal up and try to save myself a few bucks from having to buy a new tire. So I ended up picking up one of these Harbor Freight tire changing tool things. I end up always messing with a couple tires each year, so I think this will end up paying for itself in a couple years. Usually the hardest part of this is trying to get the bead to break. Oh, that actually worked fairly well. It's my first time using this. I think I gotta spin this down. That'll clamp this down to the rim, keep it from moving. Grab a different tool. All right, well, that was a lot easier than wrestling it. Now I gotta break the bottom bead. See if I can break the bottom bead. Yep. I'll admit this has gone fairly well. Well, come on. If I can slide it off here. There we go. Off. That actually didn't take very long, probably 3 minutes. So the inside of the tire is very clean. You can't even see that hole. So I'm gonna try to poke a wire through here so I can find it or mark it on the other side. All right, so right there, this is where our hole is. I'm just gonna mark it. See how this is all textured? We're gonna have to grind that flat before we put a patch on there. All right, we flattened this area out here. It's a lot smoother than it was over here. So now we're ready to go ahead and apply the patch. Whoa, I think I may have put a little too much on. All right, get our patch in here. Definitely got way too much cement. All right, it's looking like it's sticking. All right, patch is in place. There we go. Come on. All right. Really surprised I got that to get the bead on there without having to get a strap out. All right, got the tire put back on Rebecca's lawnmower. Seems to be holding right now. Only time will tell. So let's go ahead, we're gonna move on to the next job. Yep, downspout's plugged. That's all it takes. All right, that looks a lot better. I think that'll take care of that for now. Let's go ahead and grab some clay soil and we'll pack that in here and keep that gravel from washing out under that concrete. Well, on second thought, we just got like 3 or 4 inches of rain and this is completely muddy through here and I need to get back there to get the clay to move over here. If I do this, I'm just gonna rut this all up. So I think it can wait a couple days for this to dry out before I start packing that in there to keep that from eroding. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna go up to the land plane, pull the rippers out of it, see if we can fix those rippers. So in one of my recent videos, I used a land plane to go over the driveway, and I couldn't get these rippers or these scarifier teeth to dig into the rock. And I had several viewers point out the fact that this tooth on here is upside down. So this flatter part right here, this should be on the top, angled down. This needs to flip over 180. They must have been put on wrong at the factory. So these look like that they're kind of pressed on there. There's a divot right here, and that is pressed into a hole on each side. So that's pressed down and that's what's holding that in place. So we're gonna do our best to see if we can get these teeth off of here, flipped over, and then put back on there so that it works the way it should. I'm going to just try to drill this out. Got it off. So that is not drilled all the way through, it's just got a divot. So that divot right there, I'm just gonna make it bigger. I think this is like a 5/8 drill bit. We're gonna try to drive the shank back on the right way. like so. So I'm going to try to drive this back down into that divot. It doesn't line up like it did. So hopefully this works. That is not going to hold on there very well, I don't think. All right, I cleaned off some of the paint right there so I get a good ground. We'll just see if we can weld this in place. All right, I got the tooth flipped over the way it should be, and you can see compared to the other one how much better this one is going to dig into the ground and break up that gravel. And you can see why this one just sat on the ground and didn't dig in. So big difference when you flip them over. So I got 5 more of these to fix. All right, all 6 scarifiers are fixed. Now there was one that that was loose. I was able to knock it off and flip it over and get it back on without welding it. The rest of these I had to drill out and weld. And that one I just basically took a center punch and I punched it back in, and it's pretty tight. See that? That is a wasp nest right in my door. All right, some wasp and hornet spray. Something you definitely got to have on hand all the time. Trick is to get them before they get you. That's the foaming stuff right there. That stuff works pretty quick. They only kick around for about a minute and then they're dead. Ooh, I knocked him off the whole nest and everything off. Well, there's actually another nest right there. Nothing's on it, but I'm just going to go ahead and coat that nest. Up to 20-foot jet spray, kills on contact, no oily residue. I know that last one's probably not right because once you spray this stuff, you can tell where you sprayed it. So definitely going to have to wash it off later. I've sprayed this on the log cabin before, and you can tell. Of course, that's wood, but you can tell where you sprayed it. All right, I got 2 other little jobs that we're gonna try to do, and it's gonna involve the lathe and the welder. So this is a pin from the Allis Chalmers tractor that we broke. So I just cleaned this up on a wire wheel, but this is a pin that held the brakes in place, or one set of brakes in place. You can see the end of it is broken, and it's got a notch in here that holds it in place, plus you use it to pull the pin out, and we broke the end of it off trying to get it out. So we're gonna build this back up with some weld, and then we're going to put it in the lathe and recut the groove and then reflatten the end, and hopefully that'll work. Just a hot one. All right, I got the end of it flush. So now we just need to cut this down and get all this weld down to the right diameter. All right, I think we got the right diameter. So now, we just gotta clean up this groove. All right, I think we got our groove cut. It looks pretty good. Just gonna go ahead and chamfer this edge real quick, and then we're done. pretty good. All right, the last thing to fix today is this. This is the brake drum off the Allis Chalmers tractor. This is the one that is not cracked, but it does have grooves here in the brake drum. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bunch of grooves in there. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that on the lathe. This is about as big as that lathe is gonna be able to accept. And what I have, I've got this. This is an arbor, and this is the same diameter as the inside of that. So we're gonna stick this inside of this brake drum and then mount this in the lathe, and then we're gonna turn this down smooth. Probably should have used a dead blow hammer, but that worked. So we'll tighten this bolt down in the middle of that arbor, and that'll wedge that out to hold it tight. All right, I think the brake drum turned out pretty good. It's all nice and flat now. So this is cast iron. This is like one of the easiest things to machine. And I think we've got that all nice and flat. And we'll end up reusing this brake drum when we put the Allis Chalmers together. Now there is another, the other brake drum was cracked. And I had several people that wanted me to heat it up and then braze it and try to braze the crack and then machine it back down, kind of like what we did here, kind of like what we did with the pin. But that kind of, in my mind, I don't want to take the chance of that. If I tried to braze that back together and then put it back in the Allis Chalmers and then it broke, I'd have to take everything back apart. So I'm not going to take the chance of trying to repair the other brake drum. I'm just going to buy a new one for the other side. And then this brake pin, I think I'm good with going ahead and using this brake pin. You really can't even tell that I even fixed it. It almost looks original. On the very end where I welded it up, one side's a little shinier, the other side's a little duller. And that's the only way you can really tell that I built that up with weld. Other than that, the pin turned out really good. So we'll end up reusing this. But I think that's gonna be it for everything that I'm gonna fix today. We'll try the rippers. We'll probably try those out another day. I'm sure that they're gonna work better now that they're pointing down. And one other thing that I'll address later is probably gonna be the hay spear. When I built that hay spear, overwhelmingly, there's a ton of people that said I would have been better off instead of having the spears at the top of the quick attach. If I would have put the spears at the bottom, I could have picked up the bale lower. It would have probably carried, and I could have unloaded it easier. So I didn't even think about putting them at the bottom. And that's probably a true statement. It would be more like a set of pallet forks in a way. You'd be picking it up kind of lower. So the attachment points for the hay spears, what they slide into and bolt in, you can buy those. So I'm gonna buy 2 more attachment points, and I'll probably weld those to the bottom of the hay spear, and then that way I can unbolt the top ones, slide them in the bottom, and then we can try it out that way. And then it's flexible. I can use it either way, but I'll probably buy 2 more attachment points, and then we'll put those on the bottom and see how well it does. But I think that for this video, I think that's gonna be it. We just got back from our vacation last night, and this is my first day back here on the property. Of course, it was raining today, so I didn't really want to go out and mess in the mud, so decided to work in the shop. And for me, messing in here is a lot more enjoyable to do something like this. So some of these projects I've kind of put off for a while, and it was fun to just mess around, use the lathe, try to do some different things. But yeah, I've got a couple more days left on this vacation, and then it's going to be over with, and I got to go back to work. So I think that's going to be it for today's video. Slowly going to start catching up on all the comments. When we took vacation, I actually did take a vacation somewhat from YouTube, like from reading the comments and doing some stuff. We had pre-uploaded some videos and tried to take a break from this whole YouTube world for at least a couple days. So going to be going back through and going through all the comments and replying to people. So you'll probably see those comments kind of late if you guys had some questions out there. But I do plan on going back and going through all the comments.
that's probably something that I'm going to end up doing tonight. But I think that's it for today's video. So I hope you guys had a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.